Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, according to IMF projections, Sri Lanka's economy will increase by 3.1% in 2026, indicating a gradual rebound towards sustained expansion. According to the Finance Ministry, a significant increase in imports caused Sri Lanka's vehicle import duties to soar 818% to 349 billion rupees in the first 9 months of 2025. Both the ASPI and S&P SL 20 closed in positive territory today, reflecting increases in the Colombo stock market. And all three main US stock indexes recorded record closing highs as investors were upbeat about corporate profits.
From Studio 24C, here's Prashansa Gunawardena.
Good evening and welcome to the Nightly Business Report on Derana News Channel. The IMF expects Sri Lanka economy to expand by 3.1% in 2026, signalling a steady recovery towards long-term growth. The projection was announced by Deputy Director Thomas Helbing during the IMF's Asia and Pacific Economic Outlook briefing.
Helbing highlighted that Sri Lanka's economy has shown remarkable resilience following years of financial strain. He credited the government's reform program implemented in collaboration with the IMF for helping stabilize the economy and restore investor confidence. Economic growth reached 5% in 2024 and continued at 4.8% during the first half of 2025, reflecting strong recovery momentum. Helbing noted that much of this rebound stemmed from the normalization of economic activity after a sharp contraction. However, he cautioned that some of the recent growth may be temporary as the economy adjusts to structural changes. He emphasized that Sri Lanka is now approaching its long-term trend growth at 3.1%. The IMF expects the stabilization to mark a shift from short-term recovery to sustainable expansion. Helbing added that faster-than-expected rebound suggests the economy's return to normal growth will happen sooner than initially anticipated.
VFS Global has issued a statement following a special audit report on Sri Lanka's online visa service. The National Audit Office reported that the VFS IVS GBS consortium failed to remit at least $1.245 million in VAT and $127,970 in social security levies. Tourists who were supposed to be exempt from certain fees were overcharged, including hundreds of travelers from the SAARC region. The audit also noted discrepancies between the visas issued and the fees remitted to the government. VFS Global stated that it had offered to cooperate with the audit but received no response from the Auditor General's office. The company reaffirmed its commitment to support the Auditor General or any relevant authority when requested. VFS claimed that it acted solely as a technical partner in the e-visa outsourcing scheme. The Finance Ministry reported that vehicle import duties in Sri Lanka skyrocketed 818% to 349 billion rupees in the first 9 months of 2025, driven by a sharp rise in imports.
Central bank data shows vehicle imports reached $193 million in July, bringing the total of $668 million for the first 7 months of the year. Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said the total value of vehicle imports is now expected to hit $1.5 billion in 2025, up from an earlier projection of $1.2 billion. This implies that imports are projected to reach $830 million in the last 5 months of the year. The surge in vehicle imports has significantly boosted government revenue through import duties. The IMF recently noted that Sri Lanka's strong fiscal performance this year has been largely supported by these taxes. However, officials cautioned that the revenue gains from vehicle import taxes are temporary and do not reflect structural improvements in the country's tax administration.
The Sri Lankan government will receive 2,371.83 million rupees from India to implement 33 development projects across the eastern province. The funding comes under an Indian multi-sectoral grant assistance program. According to the Department of Government Information, the Cabinet of Ministers approved a Memorandum of Understanding in December 2024 to formalize the initiative. The projects will cover key sectors including education, health and agriculture with 315 million rupees for education, 780 million rupees for health and 620 million rupees for agriculture. Each of the 33 MOUs will be signed separately between the Indian High Commission and the Ministry of Public Administration, provincial councils and local government. This investment is part of India's broader cooperation with Sri Lanka, which includes a $5 billion portfolio and 450 million Indian rupees for Sri Lanka's digital identity project. The funding follows the completion of Sri Lanka's $1.4 billion debt restructuring with India in April 2025 during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. A short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Colombo stock market saw gains today, with both the ASPI and S&P SL 20 closing in positive territory. The all-share price index recorded a notable rise, reflecting investor optimism. The S&P SL 20 also advanced, recovering from losses experienced in the previous session. For further insights on this, we have Salama Sanon from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prashansa. The Colombo bourse rebounded from the negativity that lingered through the past 3 trading days as it reversed course to end on a higher note today. The all-share price index closed at 22,777, having registered a gain of 88 points. The index saw heightened volatility in the morning that eased as the day progressed. However, a steady upward movement was noted. The top positive contributors for the day were Windforce PLC, Senkaragala Finance, Derana Motor Engineering PLC, Norelia Hotels and Vidulanka PLC. Retail investors were highly involved in today's session, whereas high net worth engagement was relatively lower. The total turnover stood at 5.4 billion rupees, which was 28% lower than the monthly average that stands at 7.5 billion rupees. The capital goods sector dominated turnover, contributing 20% of the total, while the banking and utilities sectors stood next in line with a joint contribution of 25%. The top 3 price gainers were Windforce PLC, Norelia Hotels and Senkaragala Finance PLC, whereas the top 3 price losers were Colombo Dockyard, Office Equipment PLC and CM Holdings PLC. Thank you.
Sri Lanka's bond yields declined yesterday following strong fiscal performance for January to September 2025. The Ministry of Finance reported a 54.5% reduction in the nominal budget deficit, narrowing it to 441.4 billion rupees. Government revenue, including grants, rose 31% to 3,834.9 billion rupees, surpassing several IMF benchmarks. For further insights on this, we have Akna Tennakon from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prasansa. Today, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka conducted its weekly Treasury bill auction, raising a total of 57 billion rupees, fully meeting the total offer amount. The auction saw bids amounting to 107.8 billion rupees. For the 3-month bill, 12 billion rupees were on offer, with bids received totaling 12.8 billion rupees. The central bank accepted only 2.8 billion rupees, while the weighted average yield remained unchanged at 7.52%. The 6-month maturity continued to draw the strongest interest, with 57.8 billion rupees in bids received against an offer of 30 billion rupees. The central bank accepted 37.2 billion rupees, exceeding the initial offer, while the weighted average yield held steady at 7.89%. In the 12-month segment, 15 billion rupees were offered and 30 billion rupees in bids were received. The central bank accepted around 17 billion rupees, with the weighted average yield inching very slightly higher by just 1 basis point to 8.03%. All in all, this auction met the full target amount, while weighted average yields held broadly steady. Thank you.
Gold prices inched higher today ahead of a widely anticipated Federal Reserve interest rate cut. Spot gold rose 0.2% to $3,957.42 per ounce, recovering slightly after hitting its lowest level since October 7th. Markets are pricing in a rate cut now, with the possibility of another in December, which typically supports gold. However, easing US-China trade tensions limited bullion's upside, as positive trade developments often shift investment away from safe haven assets. Analysts say that if trade negotiations continue to improve, gold could face downward pressure despite the rate cut. Investors are closely watching market reactions after the Fed announcement to gauge whether expectations are already priced in. Any unexpected developments in trade talks or monetary policy could trigger volatility in gold prices. Oil prices edged higher today, following 3 consecutive days of declines driven by a drop in US crude inventories. Brent crude futures rose 0.31% to $64.60 per barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude increased 0.3% to $60.33. Data from the American Petroleum Institute showed that US crude stocks fell by 4.02 million barrels for the week ending on the 24th of October. Gasoline inventories declined by 6.35 million barrels and distillate inventories dropped 4.36 billion barrels. Analysts noted that larger than expected draws supported short-term price gains in the market. Concerns over potential OPEC Plus production increases and ongoing Russia sanctions kept further price upside. Market participants are also closely watching inventory data and geopolitical developments for indications of near-term oil price trends. The Sri Lankan rupee inched higher against the US dollar today, reversing slightly from yesterday's milestone when it touched the 300 rupees mark for the first time since September 2024. Data from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka shows the dollar buying rate is slightly from 300 rupees and 48 cents to 300 rupees and 45 cents. Similarly, the selling rate dipped from 308 rupees to 307 rupees and 94 cents. Here's a closer look at how the Sri Lankan rupee has been performing against other major global currencies. Short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Lanka Rating Agency Limited has assigned Valuable Finance PLC a long-term entity rating of A- with a stable outlook, recognizing the company's strong credit profile, sound governance and consistent business performance. For further insights on this, we have Imran Iqbal from Lanka Rating Agency.
Thank you, Prasanta. Lanka Rating Agency has upgraded the entity rating of Valuable Finance PLC to A- with a stable outlook. As a rating agency, our role is to provide an independent, objective opinion on the creditworthiness of the entities. We do not promote or endorse any investments. Our assessment is based on a comprehensive, qualitative and quantitative evaluation of the company's financial and operating performance. Valuable Finance PLC is a licensed finance company in Sri Lanka, primarily engaged in vehicle loans, leases, gold loans and auto draft. With the asset representing 5% of the finance industry, Valuable Finance PLC operates as a mid-sized player in the sector. The upgrade reflects the company's broad market reach, strong asset quality, and improved profitability, despite growth in its lending portfolio, Valuable Finance PLC maintained its non-performing loans ratio in line with the industry benchmark, while coverage for impaired loan remains robust. In the financial year 2025, net interest income increased by 16%, supported by lower interest rates, improved spreads. Net profit rose by 23%, reaching 2.6 billion, driven by higher lease income. The company's loan and lease portfolio grew from 92 billion in FY25 to over 104 billion by the first quarter of FY26. Valuable Finance PLC capital adequacy ratio remains above the regulatory minimum, though slightly below the industry average. A planned subordinated term loan under the company's capital augmentation plan is expected to strengthen its capital position.
HNB has partnered with Automotive PLC to promote leasing solutions for Isuzu vehicles nationwide. The collaboration combines HNB's financial expertise with Automotive's automotive experience. The partnership aims to provide tailored leasing options for both commercial and personal vehicle customers. HNB Senior Vice President Kanchana Karunagama emphasized making reliable transport simple, affordable and accessible across Sri Lanka. Automotive's Director Dirk Joshua highlighted that Isuzu durable vehicles paired with HNB's leasing solutions enhance convenience for customers. The initiative seeks to strengthen local economies while supporting daily life and sustainable growth. Together, HNB and Automotive are reshaping Sri Lanka's automotive leasing sector, making vehicle ownership practical and rewarding. CFW is set to launch its new season in November 2025, spotlighting bridal and destination wedding fashion and opening fresh opportunities for Sri Lankan designers.
The event highlights South Asia's growing fast fashion segment, including occasion wear and destination weddings, encouraging designers to expand their skills and knowledge. CFW's March season traditionally emphasizes versatile summer fashion, forming a foundation for trends in Sri Lanka and the region. Since its inception in 2003, CFW has grown into a leading South Asian platform, welcoming designers from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan and Europe. Ajay Veer Singh, Managing Director of CFW Holdings, said the new season will start small in 2025 and expand into a full-fledged 4-day event in 2026. Over 80% of today's designers showcased at CFW have emerged through its design development programs, highlighting the platform's role in nurturing talent. Partners like Nations Trust Bank and Cinnamon Grand Colombo continue to support CFW, promoting luxury experiences and positioning Colombo as a vibrant fashion hub.
NDB Bank has partnered with Homelands Group to offer specialized home financing solutions for Sri Lankans. The partnership introduces a home loan package providing up to 120% financing, including 100% for property purchase and 20% in ancillary expenses. Customers will benefit from personalized guidance from dedicated relationship officers throughout the loan process. Flexible repayment options are available, including bullet payments, step-up and step-down structures tailored to different financial situations. The initiative aims to make home ownership more achievable while supporting customers in completing their living spaces comfortably. Sanjay Pereira, NDB Senior Vice President, highlighted that the partnership combines financial innovation with lifestyle aspirations. This collaboration reinforces NDB Bank's commitment to empowering Sri Lankans and supporting their long-term financial goals. Pan Asia Bank marked its 30th anniversary and 3 decades on the Colombo Stock Exchange with a ceremonial bell-ringing event celebrating its journey of excellence.
The ceremony was held at the Colombo Stock Exchange to commemorate Pan Asia Bank's 30 years of service to the nation. Senior members of the bank's management team and officials from the stock exchange took part in the event. The traditional bell ringing marked the beginning of symbolic trading to celebrate this significant milestone. Speakers at the event reflected on the bank's growth, resilience and contribution to Sri Lanka's financial sector. Over the past 3 decades, Pan Asia Bank has expanded its footprint and strengthened its reputation for customer-focused banking. Chairman Aravinda Pereira emphasized the importance of innovation and sustainable growth as the bank enters a new era. He announced that the bank will continue to integrate cutting-edge technology to enhance financial services in Sri Lanka. The event concluded with a renewed commitment to supporting the country's economic progress through responsible banking practices.
Standard Chartered Sri Lanka has appointed Kumudu Munasinghe as Head of Corporate Affairs, Brand and Marketing. In her new role, she will join the country management team and oversee strategy for corporate affairs, brand and marketing in Sri Lanka. Kumudu brings over 25 years of cross-industry experience with a strong focus on ESG communications and social impact. Previously, she served as Senior Assistant Vice President at John Keel's Group, leading corporate communications, social entrepreneurship projects and diversity initiatives. Her expertise also includes roles at Citibank NA Sri Lanka and recognition in the 2021 Top 50 Professional and Career Women Awards. Kumudu holds a Master of Science in Marketing from the University of Leicester and a postgraduate diploma in marketing from CIM. Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian shares rose today, buoyed by renewed optimism over artificial intelligence following gains on Wall Street. Investors are closely watching for the Federal Reserve's upcoming decision and earnings reports from major technology companies. Expectations of lower US interest rates supported bond markets, while the dollar remained weak on bets that the Fed's rate cut would not be the last this year. Microsoft reached a deal allowing OpenAI to restructure as a public benefit corporation, granting the software giant a 27% stake in ChatGPT Maker. This development further lifted sentiment across Asian markets. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan climbed 0.16%, while Japan's Nikkei surged over 1% to hit another record high. South Korea's Kospi also reached an all-time peak, boosted by strong earnings and a positive outlook from SK Hynix and a key Nvidia supplier. All three major US stock indexes posted record closing highs, again as Nvidia shares gained following news it will build artificial intelligence supercomputers for the US Energy Department, and as investors were optimistic about corporate earnings.
Wall Street's main indexes posted record closing highs again on Tuesday, with the Dow gaining about 0.33%, the S&P 500 adding nearly 0.25%, and the Nasdaq climbing 0.8%. Strong third-quarter results have powered the market, with earnings from S&P 500 companies estimated to have increased 10.5% from a year ago, according to LSEG data. Stocks on the move Tuesday included Nvidia, which gained 5% following news the chip powerhouse will build AI supercomputers for the U.S. Energy Department. Nvidia is also taking a $1 billion stake in Nokia, which was announced by the Finland-based networking company on Tuesday. Shares of Nokia soared almost 23% after announcing the partnership. Shares of Microsoft rose 2% after the tech giant reached a deal that allows ChatGPT maker OpenAI to restructure into a public benefit corporation, of which Microsoft will own 27%. Microsoft reports quarterly earnings on Wednesday, along with fellow Magnificent Seven megacap companies Meta Platforms and Alphabet. Also on Wednesday, the U.S. Federal Reserve is expected to announce a cut in interest rates.
Apple has reached a historic milestone, surpassing a $4 trillion market value for the first time. A strong demand for its newest iPhone models helped ease investor concerns about the company's slower advances in artificial intelligence.
Apple flew past $4 trillion in market value for the first time on Tuesday. It became the third big tech company to hit the milestone. Strong demand for the firm's latest iPhone models calmed investor fears over its slow progress in the AI race. The stock hit an all-time high in early trading, helping it pass the $4 trillion milestone. Apple shares have gained about 13% since the new iPhone launched in early September. The company's stock had struggled earlier this year on concerns over tough competition in China. Investors were also unsure how the company would deal with the high US tariffs on Asian economies as manufacturing hubs like China and India were affected. The latest smartphones included the iPhone 17 lineup and the iPhone Air. It brought customers back globally within the first few weeks of launch. Industry data showed early sales of the iPhone 17 outperformed the previous model by 14% in the US and China. Apple is the third company to hit the $4 trillion mark after Nvidia and Microsoft. Chip giant Nvidia is currently highest with a market value of more than $4.5 trillion.
Thank you for watching the Nightly Business Report on Other Derana News channel. We value your opinion. Share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.adncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 07680579333. We will see you again tomorrow with the latest updates in the business globe. Vinod Vardhan Surya will join you next with Other Derana Sports Central. Until then, I'm Prashansa Gunawardana. Thank you for watching and have a good night.